Good afternoon, Fellowship of Fans. It is the Sports Prophet back once again, here to talk about a very big weekend in sports. We're right in the midst of it. We have the NBA playoffs that are in full swing, conference finals going on, and we had two big comeback games just leading into this weekend. The Clippers fought back, had a double-digit win over the Phoenix Suns, even though Chris Paul was back. We saw Giannis and the Bucks hang a 30 or 40 piece victory on Atlanta just last night. And the question really is, which series or which team is really going to be able to sustain what they've been able to do against the other team? In a lot of series, you see one team come out, win the first game, first two games, then the other team finds the energy, the momentum to get one game, and then the better team kind of takes control of the series and seizes it and rides it to the end, like we saw the Hawks do to the Knicks. So the question is, has Milwaukee really found themselves? Have they found the answer against Atlanta? Or is this just their one game, and now Atlanta is going to continue to exploit what Trae Young has been able to do in shredding Milwaukee up until last night? Have the Clippers figured out something? Can Paul George continue to lead them? Can Zubac come back and have another effective game like he did against Phoenix? Can Patrick Beverley frustrate Devin Booker? Or was it simply adjusting to playing basketball with a mask on for the first time? A lot of questions that we're going to find answers to over this weekend. Also, the NBA Combine is going on right now. So we're seeing a lot of young talent that's going to be in the NBA draft coming up. So one of the things that I would love to hear from all of you out there in the fellowship is, who would you like to see your team pick? I know everyone here is not a Knick fan, so I want you to tell us from your own perspective, who would you like to see your team pick? What do you want your team to do in the draft? The New York Knicks, for example, have 3 picks in the first 32 and 4 overall. Most of us do not foresee the New York Knicks drafting and keeping 4 young players and adding them to this roster. So the question is, do the Knicks package 2 or 3 and move up, try and get into the top 10? Do they wait and try and package a couple of those picks up to get an established NBA veteran? What would you like to see the Knicks or any other team that you root for do? And what other players do you identify out there? We know probably who the top 5 are going to be. What players did you watch this year that you want to see get drafted? Who are those sleepers that you think people are not paying attention to? I'll tell you personally, I think the NBA is sleeping on the guy Luka Garza. I know he's tall and everyone thinks he's slow and who's he going to be able to guard in the NBA, but somebody who can score on all 3 levels, can rebound the ball, and is close to 7 feet, I think there's a place for that guy in the NBA. And he's not a superior athlete, but he's a basketball player. You don't get to be the player of the year in the NCAA almost unanimously, and you can't play the game. So I think that someone's going to really benefit by taking a pick named Luka Garza late in the first or second round. He's lost 30 pounds. He's working on his foot speed. I think he's going to be an effective NBA player. But like I said, here in the fellowship, this is about what we all think. So I want to hear from you. What players do you think are going to make a difference or come into the league and be excellent draft picks for whomever gets a chance to take them? What on earth are we going to do with Ben Simmons? Is he getting traded? It seems almost certainly. It sounds like his people are going to Philly and saying, we want to get out. We need a fresh start. Well, do we trade Philly? Do we trade with Philly? Do you take a Ben Simmons on your team? Do you want to see him get moved? Would your team take him? Would you trade for him? If you're Philly, do you want to get rid of him? What do you want to get back? If you're Philadelphia, you take Ben Simmons off that team. Great. What do you want back? Who do you want back? There's a rumor now that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, point guard from OKC, is available. Does OKC take another problem contract off a team's hands to gain another first-round pick by taking Ben Simmons and a first from Philadelphia for SGA? Hey, that's what the Sports Prophet is here to talk about, and that's what I want to hear from you. What would you do with this year's NBA draft? It's going to be a big weekend. A lot of stuff's going to happen, which is why Monday is a very big day in the fellowship when we recap the weekend and see what happened. And oh, by the way, we're about to walk into the Stanley Cup. The New York Islanders lost Game 7 1-0 on a shorthanded goal just last night, which means that it's now set. Tampa Bay Lightning and taking on the historic Montreal Canadiens, who are kind of the New York Yankees, Boston Celtics of the NHL with all of their championships. It has been since 1993 that a Canadian-based hockey team has even made it to the Stanley Cup. So can Montreal bring the cup back to Canada? Or is Tampa Bay going to simply outsize and outskill Montreal and win their next cup and go back-to-back? That's what we're here to talk about. And oh, by the way, if you haven't noticed, there's a player in Major League Baseball by the name of Shohei Ohtani, who is one of the top starting pitchers in MLB, in the American League, but also happens to be leading the American League in home runs. He led off last night with a 450-foot home run. This is worth talking about. We've never seen this. We've seen pitchers who can hit. We've seen hitters who used to be pitchers. We've never seen one person come into the MLB and excel at both skill sets at the same time. You have to go back to Babe Ruth. And I'm not saying that Shohei Ohtani is Babe Ruth, but he's doing some Ruthian things right now. This is amazing. And if you want to swing over to the National League, Fernando Tatis Jr. last night just happened to knock 3 out of the park in the first 4 innings of the game. So there are big things happening in all of the sports around us. Oh, that's right. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are going against each other in golf with their 2 professional partners. That's going on this weekend. Oh, by the way, the Olympic trials is still going on right now. That's happening right now. There's all kinds of stuff happening in the world of sports. And since this is our fellowship, this is our church, we're here for all of it. We want to talk about everything and anything that's related to the world of sports. And that's what we're gathered here to do. So the Sports Prophet wants you all to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend watching all these sports. But I also want to hear from you guys over this weekend, telling me what's on your mind. Tell me what you see. And let's share with one another. Let's find out who we want to draft, who we should trade for, who's going to win, who can sustain their success, who's going to make a comeback. Let's talk about it all. That's what the Fellowship of Fans is all about. That's what we're here to do. It's sports, sports, and more sports. But it's sports from our perspective. We're the fans. We're the ones that make these things a big deal because what matters to us is what matters to the world. We drive this engine. It's all about the fans. And yes, the athletes play. And yes, they're the talent. But we're the heartbeat. We're the passion. And we keep the conversation going. And since we're talking about conversation, Scottie Pippen and Kevin Durant are going at each other. And neither one of them wants to back down. You know, they both have a lot to say and they're both very sensitive. So neither one of them is going to let anything go. So tell us what you think about Scottie Pippen against KD. We're here for all of it in the Fellowship of Fans. Everything is welcome. Everything's on the table and everyone is invited and included to be a part of it. So this is the Sports Prophet. I'm wishing you guys a magnificent weekend of sports watching. And let's hear from you this weekend. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what matters to you. And let's chop it up. Have a great weekend. Let's go.